you. Okay, well, I just want to thank everybody, first of all, for coming out, taking time out of your lives to do this. So we value your time, so I'm not going to mess around. We'll dive right into it. And I'm going to give a little presentation first, just kind of outline what a park master plan is and why we're doing this. And then maybe kind of give you a little sneak peek of some things that are happening in the park. And then we're going to have some questions, and I'll lead you through a question time. That's what your stickers are for. Your answers will go on sheets, and then you guys will vote on your priorities from your answers. And then at the end, we'll do some question and answer. I'll do my best. Okay, so park master plan. Okay, so master park plan, what is it? So this is going to be an overall guide to inform decision and policy making concerning a park system. A park plan is informed by the needs of the community, and a park plan establishes project priorities, so we kind of know what to start on first. And a park plan is used when applying for funding. For example, many RCO grants require a master plan to be on file. Our last master park plan was adopted in 2016. I think it had a revision in 2018. It was a 20-year plan, and it contained within it a short-term 6-year plan. So the 6-year plan is what has expired, and so we need to revisit that and go over what our priorities are now. So an update to a 6-year plan would include any park improvements that have taken place since 2016. Those all need to be included. We need to add into it the new 61-acre addition, because that is not covered in our plan at all at this point. The reevaluated needs of the community, so this is part of that, talking to the community and seeing what they want. New graphics and schematics to represent our goals, and we'll use that to communicate to the community what our goals are, but also, when we go to apply for a grant, we have to be able to say, here are our goals, and please help us meet those goals. And then also, the plan will also help us establish a budget to make those things happen. So some of the goals that were covered in the 2016 and continued in the 2018 plan, there were a lot of recommendations in it. Some of them are still things that we need to work on, but some of the things that we've at least addressed or started to address are as follows. So improvements to the quarry house, museum, and quarry pool. Those things aren't necessarily all complete. The quarry pool still has some things that need to be done. For some reason, my latest copy of the slides did not make it into this. So in parentheses here, I said, we also need to have a bathhouse. So that's one of the things around the quarry pool that needs to be addressed, because upgraded bathrooms are part of what the health department is requiring of us in the long term. So eventually we'll have to get that done. Identifying funding sources, this will be ongoing, but we've had great success on this over the last several years. Completing old projects. So at that time when they did the plan, finishing the mural at the quarry pool and signage in the trailhead kiosk was something that they wanted finished, and those things have been finished, although now they could probably use some updating. Pursuing new projects. So in the interim, we've done the accessibility trail and fencing around the pond. So those were some other new projects that were worked on. Connecting trails. So the trail network was a really big thing in the old plan. And we have expanded the trail network. The bike trail being continued down to Crowder's, part of that. Also working on connecting, in the plan it specifically talked about connecting to the Conservancy, and we do have trails that connect to the Conservancy now. Campground improvements. Numbered sites is pretty much the only thing in that part of the plan that we've totally done. The rest of it, there's a lot more work that needs to be done in the campground according to that plan. Monetizing our assets and creating recreation opportunities was brought up in the plan. So more effectively renting our facilities that we have available and things like that was in the old plan. And now we do have a system for renting facilities, and we offer classes as well. So here's a schematic that was based off of the old plan, just to give you an idea what in 2016 a landscape architect came up with, and then this was adopted. So you can see on it that there were plans for a new playground, and there were always plans to upgrade the ball fields and put in a lot more accessible surfaces, so sidewalks and connecting walkways. There is a trail that goes around the park that looks an awfully lot like the accessibility trail that we did put in. We do have a new playground. The blue section is a basketball court, so that didn't happen. Let's see, pointing B5, that's actually a little skate park. We can't,
there's such a bad glare on it, it's super hard.
Is it?
So you might need to walk up and point. This is too super hard.
Okay, yeah. They won't be able to hear me on the recording if I go up there. Yeah, I could use a laser pointer. Thank you. So, yes, so that was like a skate park, and it's kind of reversed now. There's the pump tracks on the backside, and they moved the playground up towards the street more because of the tree falling on the playground, and just to prevent that sort of thing from happening again. So they've brought that out of the trees. So it's progress. There's also, if you look by where the pool, the pond actually is what I like to call it, the DS, that area, they actually had it on there to put in a fence. I didn't even know that that was in the old plan, but that has been accomplished. So that is the fence that's going around the pond that's near the quarry pool. So that was accomplished. Yeah, he didn't really, so it's going to be like D6. It's listed on there. Yeah. Yeah. I think, this was hired done, and yeah. Yes, and he was doing the things that they were emphasizing needed done to apply for things. So it doesn't include the quarry pool. So Bob's outfit has done us a new graphic, so I can show you that. So this has, a lot of this is just stuff that has been accomplished. So it shows here the basic area where the playground is, the pump tracks, the accessibility trail, how it actually turned out. The original wasn't realistic because it went up onto that dike that was down at the end of the park on the east end. It shows some hopes and dreams around the quarry pool, and it does show the quarry pool now. It cuts parking short of the museum because I think ideally the museum would be more of a walk-in area with a sidewalk for ADA accessibility, and not having cars parked directly in front of the museum, because that would block, like if somebody wants to take a picture of the museum and there's cars parked in front of it. So that was kind of dialed back. This version has the idea of opening up the natural area of the quarry pool to the public, so putting in a railing so people can just walk in there and kind of walk up to the quarry, have more access to that. Yeah, right in that area. None of this is carved in stone. This is just where we're at right now with some ideas. So that's why we're bringing it to you, so you can have an opportunity to look at it and think about it. There's nothing drastic on here. I think another difference would be where the old playground was, he's put in a little basketball court. So that's a possibility. That area is cleared already, and there aren't any real trees in that spot. So that would be a kind of a relatively low impact place to put that. There's still hopes of upgrading our ball fields, but using the same footprint that already exists for those. Okay, so I'm going to show you the next slide. This shows the park as a whole. So now we're looking at the hiking trails and the new park addition. So the majority of the park is going to remain passive recreation, so just for hiking, possibly some bicycle and horse trails might go in there too. So, you know, down in the park core, we'll have our active recreation, and then passive up in the woods, because we also want it to remain habitat. Where you see trails on this is not necessarily completely accurate. So this is like guesstimates of where the trails are. I think we have to do some real surveying to make an accurate trail map. The trails that Bob's outfit put in on the new acreage is just based off the old road system that was there. So I don't think that we're going to have quite that many trails. Yeah, that's the whole new, and then plus that little section up on the, yeah. That's new too. So the old trails on there, I'm looking at it, and it's pretty inaccurate as to where those are, but those are the basic footprint of trails we'll keep from our old trails. The only real revision to that was closing off the trail that goes behind the rocks, that goes up the hill, because it's steep. It was done by volunteers a long time ago, and the volunteers in the years since decided to bypass it and put in other trails. It gets bees constantly. Kids slide down it, and it causes all kinds of erosion to the hillside. So we're going to close that and let it recover. Do a little bit of work for removing some of the old railroad tie steps and things like that. Okay, so I just wanted to show you this thing. Hi, Amy. Can you sign in? Okay. And grab some stickers, 2 different colors there. So I just wanted to show you this for fun. So this is drone footage, and it makes me a little dizzy. So this is drone footage of the new acreage. So right here, the drone is kind of zeroing in on some wetlands that are up there that are pretty interesting. This was taken in the middle of winter, so these trees, they might be dying because they're waterlogged. They might just be dormant because it's winter. But he flew around up there because, you know, initially we were having a little trouble getting in there. First of all, we didn't own the land. But also, it's really thickly planted in the areas that are planted. There's not a lot of easy trails to get up in there. And we wanted to kind of get an idea of the topography of the land and see what we were dealing with. So I find it interesting that there's quite this boggy area. I don't know if some beavers have moved in up there or something. If they did, fantastic. Can kind of, it's not letting me fast forward it. But there you can see the city. You just kind of get an idea of what it's like. The forest up there needs to be thinned. It's at that point, like if you were going to have healthy, viable trees, we're going to have to go in there and take some of the smaller trees out to let the bigger trees stand a better chance and grow better, fuller, and healthier. So that's been recommended to us to do up there. There's I think it was a USDA grant that was recommended to us to do that work. So I'll be looking into that. I've also already had some volunteer groups, Boy Scouts in particular, are excited about helping with trails. So this is definitely one of the things that we will need to include in our new plan. Okay, so moving on from that, here's just another photograph. This one I felt like really showed the valley. So you can see that there's a hill and a valley, and I don't know what the lookout is from up there. But we have not been able to explore the whole thing yet. However, we did get up in there a little bit, and there are some trails already established. So these may end up being some of our new trails. So there was somebody who was using the property. I've spoken to him. He knows he's not going to get to do this anymore, and he's completely fine with it. But over the years, he's gone up there and taken his tractor up in there. So there's, when we were walking through, it was like, oh, it was actually kind of an exciting discovery because it's a little bit of work that's been done for us, and the trails are just wide enough to possibly be a bicycle trail or something like that. So looking on the bright side of that. Okay, so another thing that we've done recently is took a community survey. The survey is still open. You can still tell people to take this. We have paper copies available in City Hall, and it's on our webpage. So far we've had 110 respondents, which is pretty decent. And the first question is what brings the community to the Tenino City Park? And most people responded that walking and hiking by far was the most popular reason to come to the park. Number 2 was the playground, and festivals and sports were the next. A lot of people answered multiple times and would say all of these things are their favorite things. So then the next question, and that was an open-ended question. That didn't have multiple choice. They could just, whatever brings them to the park, and those were the top answers. And I can say that 65 people said that walking or hiking were their reason for coming to the park, or at least one of the reasons. What upgrades have they enjoyed? The playground was number 1, accessibility trail was number 2, pump track, and then the new fence around the pond were the top 4 improvements. What accessibility issues have people encountered? None was the most popular answer, but a lot of people did respond to this. I was surprised by the answers. I thought it was going to be things like, that we couldn't, that we did have somebody say I couldn't get my grandmother to a shelter because there was no sidewalk, but most people answered things like the locked bathrooms, projects not being finished. But locked bathrooms was number 1, which they're not locked anymore. Older kids not playing nice, projects taking too long, and not enough little kid playground toys. So a lot of people like the playground, but they're like, there's not enough for little guys. Okay, and then sports facilities to improve or add. Number 1 was basketball. So let's see. We had 41 people vote for basketball. And then kind of a tie between soccer, softball, and Little League. So there was general consensus that those facilities that we have could be improved. Campground use priorities. Would you be willing to sign in? Okay. Campground use priorities. Most people said they would tent camp. Cabins came in number 2, and RVs came in last, basically. And there were 2 different kinds of RVs, so some people picked both. But I was kind of surprised how many people picked cabins as their answer. We don't have cabins. It was just kind of thrown out as an idea. A lot of people liked it because it would be a place for family to stay when they came to town or things like that. So an alternative to a community that doesn't have hotels. And yeah, let's see. So, oh, and then also bathrooms and showers. That was like the by far the number one thing people want to see improved in the campground, and I do not blame them. Okay, so Quarry Pool priorities, the bathhouse. Good news on that one because that's something we're required to do, but it was nice to see that the community really supports a new bathhouse. Seating areas, shade areas, and concessions were all popular choices. A lot of people just want a nice place to sit, I guess, and watch their kids play in the water. A swim dock was a popular answer, but I think looking into it further, it's not really possible to do a swim dock in a pool as deep as the Quarry Pool for safety concerns. If somebody got underneath it, a lot of swim docks have some kind of barrier to keep them from going under the dock. And how deep would we make that barrier go in a 65-foot pool to make it work? So it's not impossible, but it's complicated. So concessions made it onto this list because of that. It was the 5th choice. Quarry Pool natural area, open to the public was the top choice. Youth fishing was number 2. A gazebo was number 3. And rentable space for weddings or private events. Also just the concept of being able to do photo opportunities in there and things like that were very popular. And people didn't seem to think that having weddings there meant you couldn't do youth fishing. So people would often choose both. So, and I could see doing that by saying, okay, this is our youth fishing season. We're not going to rent it out for anything during that season. And then maybe these couple months out of the year, we will make it available for rental for weddings or for parties or whatever. Okay. The Tenino Depot Museum Complex picnic area was the top choice, which I found interesting because you can picnic. We have lots of picnic areas, but public archive was another choice, was number 2. And Quarry Pool viewing area and improved parking were the top things on that one. Okay, so now we're going to move into our question session. So this is going to be your guys' opportunity to talk and give your input. So I've got some questions that Courtney is going to be our Vanna White, and she's going to write down your answers, and we'll check our work. It's easier for her to do it this way, but and then we will post those over here. Well, there's 4 questions, and then at the end of this session, you guys get to go over and look at those 4 questions and vote for your top priority on that list with your green sticker, and your second place priority on that list with your pink sticker. Okay, so what do you like about existing facilities and park amenities? What is working, basically, in our park?
I like the trails.
The trails. Is it all the trails, the hiking trails, or a specific trail?
Mostly the paved trail.
Okay.
We use that all the time.
Yeah. So we have 2 basic kinds of paved trails. We have the Yelm Tenino Trail, and then we have the accessibility trail that goes around the park. Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question that probably doesn't pertain to this, but how did we acquire all that extra acreage?
Well, we'll have times for those questions at the end. So right now we're going to stick to the question. So what do you like about existing facilities? What's working? Yes.
Baseball fields,
Yes.
they're used a lot, and there's now space for any practices outside of games, because everyone enjoys coming here to see them.
Yeah, they are heavily used.
I think the playground, I mean, I go down there a lot, and when the weather is good, it's used a lot.
Yeah, pretty busy.
And so far, I've been really pleased that there hasn't been any vandalism.
Yeah,
as
the
far
play,
as the equipment.
to the equipment, right, yeah.
Parking area, it's a nice parking area for the park.
The paved portion, yeah.
I like the natural backdrop on the upper trails.
Our forest,
Yeah.
yeah,
having
yeah.
that resource.
Anybody else like anything at the park?
Well, I think when the pool opens up,
Yeah,
it's gonna be nice, but
yeah. Yeah,
question about that, if you wanna wait till later.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, I think the uniqueness of the pool, I think that's a really good asset.
Mm-hmm,
It's fun to talk to people about and for people to see and experience it.
mm-hmm,
I would say that that's one of the best features.
yeah.
And I think the waterfall,
The waterfall, our iconic waterfall,
a lot of people, I think, come to look at that and have
yeah,
pictures taken in front of it.
yeah, absolutely.
The updated quarry house is actually pretty nice for events and such.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
You're fine. Can you sign in?
Sure.
Yeah, there's a, under Courtney's giant writing pad, there's a sign-in sheet. Okay. Yes,
Well, we use the accessibility trail on a
Yeah.
daily basis.
yeah,
Bring my wife and the dogs down for a walk. I also have been up in the woods. I haven't been up in there since because it's just been so wet.
right,
Excited to get the opportunity to go up there and do some in the woods walking around.
yeah.
Is there, okay, I'll won't go any further.
So you enjoyed the dog walking aspect of, and the trail, yeah,
My wife is disabled, so that's an important place for her.
yes,
And it's pretty clean, and we feel relatively safe here.
yeah,
And something that she really looks forward to.
yeah,
And of course, every now and then I get to put on my cleats and come out and ride around.
oh, yep, your bikes. Yeah, so bicycling opportunities are another favorite then at the park. Okay, anybody else got any props they want to give the Tenino City Park? The question for those who came in is, what do you like about existing facilities and park amenities? What is working?
Looks like the parking lot's working.
The parking lot works, yeah.
Looks like the playground's getting good use.
Yeah.
That's nice. I hear a lot about it in Yelm and Rainier because I work all South County. So
Yeah.
it's nice. I share it as well. I think the quarry house is lovely, but underutilized. And I'm on the fence about the pool because now I'll let you know this
That-
summer though.
That's valid. Okay, all right, so anybody else last chance on this question? Okay, so the next question. Do you, sorry. Okay, ready? All right, do you have ideas and suggestions for improving existing facilities or park amenities? Yes,
A better surface on the fields for sports.
the playing fields? Okay,
Like to see the area in the back cleaned up,
oh, along the accessibility trail,
all that, the down debris,
the debris,
all that kind of stuff.
yes,
All the blackberry bushes.
blackberries, yeah.
I picked those for
And
you.
the old,
What about you?
the steel soccer
Yeah,
nets. thing.
The soccer nets, yes, okay.
they're not being used anymore, are they? They're just parked there and
They're not being used currently, no. So it's the soccer nets being stored at the back of the park.
Jessica, I'd like to see, where the steps were built by an Eagle Scout a few years ago.
Yes.
That parking area, I'd like to see handicap accessibility from there through the trees down to the trail. So they don't have to park where the parking lot is and wheel themselves back to the ball fields. I mean, instant access, you just do a switchback.
Okay, so maybe I'm not sure which trail you're.
Where the stone, or no, the metal sculpture that was dumped there.
Oh, yeah, yeah, okay.
Okay, so on either side of that, there's kind of a walking trail there, but I think with ADA
Yeah, okay.
compliance, do a zigzag or whatever elevation down to the trail there, so they can just push themselves and watch the kids,
Yeah,
their kids play.
yeah. In the one of Bob Droll's plans, he has that above field 2 and 3 in between where the concession building is. There's a little road that the city staff use to go drive down in there.
Yeah, the fire lane.
Yeah,
Access road.
yes, but at the top of that, putting a couple of handicap spots and then a sidewalk to go down to it. So that was one thought.
So ADA compliant.
ADA compliant, get the right grade, and then the goal would be to have, like in the drawing, all of the sidewalks around the field so that people can, yeah.
I'd like to see them clean up those piles of slag off of the ball fields that they dumped in there in mountains. It's killing the underbrush, it's up against the trees.
Yeah,
And they just keep adding more and more and more.
so that's the sand from the ball fields.
Better plan for that
Yeah.
disposal. And also, that sculpture would look a lot better over by the quarry. It kind of looks like water, but it's just sitting there looking.
Yeah, it's not in its permanent spot yet.
Where is it going?
The plan was to put it down in that little roundabout down at the end of the trail and put a rock garden in there.
Oh, really? Okay. That's fair.
I think it's going to be really pretty when it's done. It's just work in progress.
What is that?
Yeah. Nellie?
I just have a question, is that parking area between Parkside Elementary and the baseball fields where you kind of talk about when the city drives down?
Uh-huh.
Is that city property right there, and all the potholes and everything coming out?
All the potholes? Yeah.
The parents drive through.
Yeah. That's the old park. And yes, it's used probably more than a gravel road is meant to be used. And then this time of year it gets bad, and if you go in there with the grader, it turns into a slurry of mud. So, yeah. So that area could use improvement. Yes.
Just in case you get like the handicap accessibility in there, maybe.
Yeah, then we'll need to address parking. Yes. Okay.
Also, is this an opportunity to ask about any kind of senior program in the quarry or anything?
We can do,
Just about physical.
well, we can do that at the end. Yeah.
To kind of go off of the comment about the old park area, it'd be kind of cool to, in tandem with that, maybe have some kind of barrier or curbing so people aren't parking on the tree roots.
Yes, okay, so controlled parking, not on the tree roots. Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, to fix the baseball support facilities such as the scoreboards and the actual concession area.
Yes. Okay, so concession and scoreboard upgrades. Yes.
So I have some ideas that maybe can go along with some like the field upgrades. Is there any way the city can maybe get with some of these people who are involved in the fields, other like Large Mountain or United Baseball, Tenino League, and get together, host like something large where we can bring the community down there, like for hot dogs, baseball games that can raise money? Is that something that the city can maybe put together to help with the funding?
So that's more of a question after the thing. Kind of, yeah, I mean, I get the inspiration through that, but we can talk about that too. Okay, anything else about what's, oh, yes, Serena.
I'm not too concerned about the underbrush that was exposed due to trees and damage, because I know in a couple of years that'll actually look it's very important for the wildlife to have dead trees and bushes to live. I wouldn't mind maybe some flower bulbs being tossed out there. I don't care much about the blackberry bushes because I pick blackberries and I know you guys don't poison them. So that's why I go to the park to pick blackberries. I'd like to see a couple benches on the accessibility trail so that people that do need to
Yeah.
sit and rest, and maybe a couple trash cans with those benches because it can be difficult. I've seen many people walking with oxygen or very slow.
Yes.
It's awesome because they're getting out there. But sometimes you need to rest.
Yes.
And stop. Sometimes your legs give out. So.
Yes. And I can say that I think the trail, the benches are, I think we've got those. Those are ready to go. Trash cans, not quite yet, but we'll put that on the list. Trash cans along the trail.
Benches,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would like to second that.
Okay.
Something that,
Something to sit on.
She gets out about, just about out to the loop and she doesn't, okay. I need to sit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Makes a lot of sense.
Oh, and more dog disposal,
Station, cans or
yeah,
stations?
well, everything.
Everything.
Because they either leave it on the trail or they don't pick it up or say, oh, I'm gonna leave it there and don't realize that there's only one garbage can by the concession stand over by the playfield. If they start at, say, Reynolds or somewhere else. And
Okay.
it's getting pretty costly.
The kiosk was there. It used to be nice. It's kind of sad.
Yeah.
I think we have, especially like the STP, we have so many out-of-town visitors. We're really missing an opportunity to shine and talk about the Bountiful Byway, to talk about the AOD, to talk about Wolf Haven, Monarch, all of these really amazing, the Standstill Distillery. Like, we've got some really amazing gems, you know, in South County, and we don't have a way to highlight that for all the folks that are visiting. So I don't know what that looks like. We've tried.
So more Bountiful Byway information in the kiosk, I guess would be the way to put it. Yes.
The restrooms in the old park, I've never been able to get in there, and it seems like they're always closed. Are they operational or not?
Mildly operational. So there's no sink in one of them, the one that's open for camping. So yes, we definitely need to do a lot of work in that one.
Was that just destroyed by vandals or what?
Yeah, and it's ancient, so things break down, and it's they just retrofitted I'm getting into answering questions, but they just retrofitted the other restroom in the park that was built at a similar time, and they had to tear out all the plumbing. So it's a big project to tear everything out because it's so old and it's been retrofitted so many times. It's a mess. Yeah. Serena.
For me, the most important thing is that we maintain what we have. It's nice and dandy to think of new things, but I don't need a bench if you can keep the park looking nice, clean, mowed, organized, safe, and work on the advertisement of it. Because if we can't take care of what we have now, we're not going to be able to take care of any added infrastructure. It's going to fall apart like the courthouse did, you know? And I don't want to see that. Like right now, already our big entrances, they all need to be restained.
Yeah.
So they're beautiful when they invite guests. The kiosk needs to be pressure washed and repainted. It's beautiful. Invite guests. I mean, I'm not saying, I don't think the city should be in charge of going out there and placing advertising because we're paying an employee to do that. But definitely, hey, bring your stuff, you put it behind plexiglass.
Yeah.
You know? Those kind of things. That's why I said
Yeah.
maybe a bench, but it's more about maintaining it.
Maintaining what we have. Okay. Very good. Okay. Anything else in this section? No. Okay. What future development of recreation facilities or opportunities would you like to see?
The senior program.
Okay. Senior program? Oh, yes.
Or youth
Okay, more youth summer camps. Yep,
Youth sports tournaments, bring people in from outside.
okay.
You guys get if I just put youth programs?
No, tournaments is different.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I think some kind of monitoring at the old park part, like last year, there were open fires, and I know Sean and I both tried to report it, and nobody would deal with it. And even the city cops were sitting at the end the next day, still open fire there for like 2 weeks, that guy was there. And once those trees burn, you don't have that.
Right.
So I went to the fire department, they said we can't deal with that. Call the police, but they won't deal with it. Call 911, and they said, is it an emergency? I said, no. They said, well, we won't deal with it, so there you are.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so just, I guess, making sure that the rules are followed. Yeah, okay.
Are there posted signs that say,
Yes.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
They were right
One,
beside
there's
them.
one.
so enforcement?
Yeah, there were a couple at the entrance to the park, or to the campground area, but it's also on the new park rules signs that that it's not allowed.
And they had a no open fire sign right on it, right next to
Yeah.
it, and didn't
Yeah.
do anything.
Yeah, I've gone in and talked to people, and yeah, it's interesting.
I would like to see the campground improved. We have to find ways to make money. I mean, pool hopefully will bring in loads this year if it's hot. But we need to find ways to bring in money so we can maintain the park.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not growing on trees, and we can't support the park with grants. We can add things, but we can't support it. So
Yeah.
I'd like to find a way to improve the campground so that people with RVs can park and stay for a week, visit their families, visit the pool. There's no power or resources or restrooms or even water for that
Right.
to be, that to be the case.
Yeah.
And we could make good money with allowing RVs to come in and hook up for a week. So
Okay. All right. Did you get that? Okay. Very good. Anybody else? Yeah.
It'd be nice if there's more space for soccer fields, but that's not, seems like more claims they've done, more they've cut back. And so now it's not even viable for us to go there anymore, to have to play.
Okay.
So,
Before you got here, we did show the plan, a plan for a field down.
well, I was told it was at the park, so I was like,
sorry.
Can I ask, this may or may not be this, where are vendors who come, like it used to be Oregon Trail Days, where are they set up now? Is that one parking lot between the quarry and the museum is pretty much it, or?
No, they set up behind the quarry house and that area by the stage, and they set up all along the parking lot in front of the park. And there's room also, although I don't think they have plans to, by the kind of community open area between the museum and the quarry house. So, and there's going to be a bunch more down at the other end of the park now. So they're going to use all the way, I think, down to Field 3.
Restricted a little bit with the parking and the playgrounds and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some open spaces this year. Anybody else on this topic? Okay. Next one. What hopes, concerns, and issues do you have with future and existing facilities? What hopes, concerns, and issues do you have with future and existing facilities?
Maintenance.
Maintenance. Make that really big.
I hope that we can find a way to advertise our quarry house as a great place to have reunions, parties, and weddings.
Mm-hmm.
I hope we can find a way
Yeah, so monetizing facilities.
Sorry, go ahead. And have to promote it, actively promote it,
Mm-hmm.
passively hope people show up.
Mm-hmm.
I think before we advertise for the quarry house to be used, they need to fix the acoustics in there.
Okay. Quarry House acoustics.
Terrible. They need to put pictures up or something that, because you go in there and you get more than 10 people and it's just bouncing off the walls.
Right.
That's probably the easiest thing I've ever seen.
Since they opened it, they haven't done it.
Out of everything Jessica's heard, that's probably.
So this is a concern, and this might be a later conversation, but I have some real concerns with, the new property and or the property behind the park, and then the conservancy property,
Mm-hmm.
in that, we have a lot of active wildlife that facilitate and use that as migration corridors.
Mm-hmm.
And we have, I just know on conservancy property, we have some real issues with unleashed dogs, squatting and other issues, people camping out, they should be there dumping trash, right? So connecting yet another 60 acres, where we actively have bobcat, cougar, and black bear.
Mm-hmm.
It's really important that we maintain that, because we really need that open space for wildlife to be able to migrate away from the city.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, bigger conversation.
Yeah.
But
You know, and
there
I-
needs to be some real thought with how that's put together.
Right. And, you know, before that property was in an urban growth area. So, I mean, my biggest concern previous to this was that it was going to be developed. So I'm glad to say that it will remain a corridor in that way.
Completely agree
Yeah.
with that, completely agree. I just know when we cut people loose up there,
Right,
we
right.
have a whole another set of problems that may or may not have been,
Yeah.
you know, holistically looked at. And when you mentioned horseback ride trails, my heart sunk. Like, I don't even know, like, that's a whole nother level of things. There needs to be some really good fine tooth planning when it comes to what that's ultimately gonna look like.
Okay.
Security,
Security.
yeah, we can't have our stuff busted the way it's
Yeah.
here. We need to have game cameras,
Yeah.
um,
2 new cameras just went up in the park this week. In addition to,
We need police presence.
yeah, yeah.
and well advertise that there's cameras.
Yes.
Well
We
advertise
have
that
to
there's gonna be
say that you are on camera to be able to use the footage.
But I also feel like, I don't know how other people feel on the trails, I know you hike them a lot, but, there's been a couple times when I've gone out with my dogs and have run into teenagers up to no good.
Mhm.
And there's been a couple times where I've turned around and gone back the way I started.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you know, just maybe having a couple game trap, a rail,
Mhm.
it's not a guarantee, but it's a reminder to the community that we are trying to safeguard, and it's a reminder to our teens, they're watching you.
Yeah,
You don't know where those game cameras are, they can watch it at night, they can watch it in the daytime.
yeah. Good news, we've discussed cellular game cameras up there, so.
Because it can be.
But put it on the list
it's
for sure.
uncomfortable as a woman to, like,
Game
come out
cameras.
of the corner and there's 6 young men, but they're all 6 feet tall. and
Yeah.
they're no good, so they're
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, yes.
Well, one of my hopes for facilities would be the quarry house and something there for seniors, not just a senior luncheon, but a time for them to play cards and talk and just get together as a group.
So that is now going to be the second and fourth Tuesday of every month. The seniors will have it from their senior lunch until 2:00.
From 1 to 2.
From 11:30 until 2.
Okay.
So we are starting that.
There
Yeah.
used to be a really active STARS program for decades.
Yeah, they're trying to rebuild. Like the senior club is trying to rebuild. COVID did a number. Yeah, it did.
Especially in Lewis County, I don't know any of those senior centers that were rocking.
Yeah, yeah.
One thing I'd like to see is around the baseball fields,
Okay.
contactless spectators and walkers while games are happening.
Yeah, good point. Okay, any other concerns or issues? Nope. Okay, that is all of our questions. So before we get into question and answer, where you can throw anything at me that you want to, we're going to post, actually, why don't you go ahead and post those up on the windows, and I'll take some questions while you're doing that, just to give her a little time. So she's going to post those, and then we'll do the voting on those, just to kind of help us see what's the most important to the group in general on the lists.
I would say, can we clarify, are they voting on the whole list? Or
No,
are they picking
no.
individual bullet points?
Yeah, you can do you got 4 windows, it's 4 different questions. They can vote on each question. And the green stickers will represent your top priority, and the pink stickers represent your secondary priority. So does anybody have any? Well, maybe I'll just wait, because everybody's going to get noisy. But if you have any questions.
You're having another public forum next Wednesday?
Yeah, yeah.
Perhaps by that time, can you print out these new drawings that Bob Droll did, so?
Yeah, so that we will have those at the next meeting printed bigger. So you can really walk into them.
Copies for people to take home?
I'll try with that. I was going to do more like poster sized so everybody could look at it, and then post them online for folks to print. But that's just me being economical. I watch every penny. But if you want copies, I'll make sure it happens. Yeah. Amy?
So, I kind of forgot what I was going to say. Oh, is there a conversation about reinstituting a park commission to help manage the park and the park plan and the new property? And I guess kind of a two-part question. I'd also kind of like to understand a little bit more about why Bob Droll was hired again, or kind of what that process was, because that was a point of contention with the last park commission and the last park plan.
Okay, so the first part about that, the park commission. Theoretically, there is a group that could take on some of those responsibilities. It's the Arch Commission, so they're arts, recreation, culture, and history. So they could take that on as a responsibility. As far as whether there's a park commission or not, that's not something I can decide. That's more of a.
How many members are on the Arch Committee?
There's 5.
Do they do
Plus, yes, they're well. Most of them do. They at least within the. No. I represent the city there, and then we have a council member who also attends. So I help facilitate the meetings, but I don't have like a vote.
are these folks
I can tell you who they are if that helps, but they were appointed, so they applied and were appointed by Wayne. So this was just it was the year before. They're the group that did the metal banner project. So
who's on it then?
Donna Mayo, kind of representing arts, and you can look at the description. So you can. Yeah, there's a description. There's a whole page for the Arch Commission. It's not a super lot on it, but what the criteria for being on the commission is, you don't have to be a resident of the city of Tenino. But yeah, so we've got Donna Mayo. Recreation is Dave Montgomery. Culture is Bob Mackenzie Sullivan. And history was Robert Newgard. He's a history teacher here in the city of Tenino and lives here. And Joyce Worrell is the business representative. Yeah.
So there's not somebody directly park related in that commission necessarily. I mean, there's kind of
Yeah, so we have somebody,
overlap.
yes, there's overlap. And so it's not a group that's really been actively pursuing that, but it's within what they could be doing.
Do you think that they would have the capacity to handle all the needs of park management in conjunction with you, or, like, to me, it seems like somebody should be, the park plan is a pretty substantial thing to deal with, and so, like, I can't see the Arts Commission rewriting, do they do, like, planning documents like that, or?
Not really.
Fall to, staff,
So-
or you're paying to have it.
So
done?
one difference would be one development that's happened since the Park Commission was there was now we have somebody full-time who's looking at these things. So we didn't have a staff person before that was specifically working on the park and thinking about those things as their mission. So that's just one change that's happened since there. So we do have the bandwidth now to do a lot of that. So yeah, writing the park master plan is something that I'm working on.
Okay, so you're doing that.
Uh-huh.
I had understood that Bob Grohl was working on that.
No, Bob's just working on all he is doing is working on graphics.
Okay.
So hopefully that answers the second part of your question. So he's working on graphics and then also getting the dollar amounts that those elements would cost, should we choose to do them. Because then we have figures if we're going to apply for a facilities grant or something. We have to be able to have a budget that we give them that we're asking for.
So graphics in the way of design.
Yeah.
For like the different things that you want to implement through the park plan.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So I was asking this earlier before the meeting started. So the last master plan that Joel did was 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're the park person for Tenino, you're developing the new master plan. Is this because the old one, I know the 6 years have gone by and do we need another master plan? Or
No, this is an update. This is just updating it so that it contains the additional property, the projects that we've completed, and a new 6-year plan. So the master park plan is not essentially going to change that much.
So by law, we have to have a 6-year park plan?
Okay, for example, if we want to apply for an RCO grant, you have to have on file with them a current park plan. So the one that we had with them expired, so we have to give them a new one. And so it's good for us to revisit it regularly, first of all, as a community. And second of all, that's not something we're necessarily legally required to do, but it's a good practice. And then so that we can also apply for grants. They won't even consider us if we don't have a current plan.
Okay. So I'm reading the budget and the check sheet and some meetings at the end of 2023. If Bob Joel is doing just the graphics,
Mm-hmm.
that bill is over $36,000. He's not creating any kind of.
No,
narrative, anything?
No, we asked for an a la carte budget from him, and we declined the narratives from him, and are just using the graphics and The things we needed a professional that we didn't have the skill set to do ourselves, we're having him do those things, and the rest of it we are doing ourselves. Yes.
Can I just say, for everybody here, I think it's, if we want to have a conversation around having a new park commission or whatever, I would welcome people to come to our meetings and discuss that. If that's important to our community, we should reinstitute it. I know there was a lot of kind of weirdness when it got disbanded, so if that's important to our community, I would encourage anybody to come to our council meeting and tell our council that, and we could look at that.
I just think it would be more supportive of you too, because it's a lot of work, and so it makes sense with the growth too, to have some support.
Yeah, I'm not adverse to support.
Yeah, for sure.
I have a question about that.
Mm-hmm.
I would feel a lot better if I knew, and maybe I'm just naive, if I knew if our park people were driven by a mission statement of some kind to preserve our natural and historic quality
Mm-hmm.
in our park, because you don't hear about things, you don't get input into them, and all of a sudden something's happened, and you're like, oh.
So the master park plan is kind of the mission statement for the park.
Does
So
it say anywhere in there that the first priority needs to be to preserve, because that is what makes Tenino unique?
the other piece you can look at also is the city's master plan, which does speak to that as well.
I tried to do
So-
that, but that's not specific to the park.
Right.
That's
It-
specific downtown.
But that encompasses everything. That encompasses the park as well. It's the general mission of the city, to promote its history and preserve. And I think, I'm hoping, I've been very pleased with how much energy has gone into our historical projects and making sure that we're keeping Tenino history alive. I don't. It's kind of my special interest. I know I'm the park person, but that's where I started, and I've just been really pleased with the enthusiasm and the investment from the city in the time I've been involved, and I don't see that changing.
I'm not concerned
Yeah.
about that as much as the actual things that are put in the park. Like Yelm has pump track that is it's less obnoxious, I guess, to look at than that stuff that's over there that looks like, a water park. I think the effort should be made to keep it natural
Hmm.
and
Yeah, that's a good thing to put on the input somewhere. Yeah, because I like natural too. Yes.
I've got a question. I've been looking at the small pool, and we go up there and try and figure out just what it is. You can't see much from going in there and looking.
Yeah.
Is there a spot that the water's deep enough that, say, the intermediate kids can learn how to swim
No.
to get into the big pool?
No.
I didn't think so.
No. It's a 2-foot deep wading pool. So that is something that we've lost, and I wasn't part of that decision-making process when that all happened, but one of my understanding was that the old pool as it was took a massive amount of water on a monthly basis to fill and to empty and to clean and all of the things. And that we would need, when we put in a circulating pool, it was going to have to look completely different. So now this is a up to health code standard circulating pool. It's not built in the 1950s when they didn't have all of the rules that exist now. And so we had to bring everything up to standard. And in doing so, we did lose some things. Yeah. I'm with you. I would love to have a pool that kids could learn to swim in, and I've floated ideas of how to make the deep end like an area in there, but the safety is just really an issue.
Why did they take down that lean-to where you used to sit in there in the shade and watch the kids?
A tree fell on it, and also it was rotten underneath. So it had some structural issues underneath it, and then the roof was. So it's in the works right now to put in a kind of, it's not a gazebo, it's a roofed structure. It's similar. It's similar, yeah. And there's gonna be umbrellas around, so there's going to be 12 umbrellas. There's going to be 6 picnic tables. There's going to be, just because like I said, looking at the survey, a priority to people was shady places to sit and watch their kids play, and there's going to be some chairs. It's going to be nice. Yeah. So it essentially, besides putting down the rest of the pavers and some cosmetic things, the pool itself was ready last summer. So they're working on the bathrooms right now. It'll be ready. All of those projects will definitely be ready. It's just our only hang up is the health department, making sure we get that ultimate, them signing off on it. That would be the only thing that would keep us from opening. And you could write them letters if you want to. Okay, no, I didn't say that. Well, you got hands up behind you, Serena.
When you said that it was technically ready last year, my understanding is they were supposed to put a floating dock or something in the deep side. That part's gonna be ready and maintained before.
No, that's not gonna happen. No. I talked about it earlier before you got here, that the logistics of putting a floating dock in water that deep is you have to have some barrier now underneath it to keep people from going underneath. And how do you secure that to a 65-foot deep pool? It gets a little complicated because of the massive depth of the pool. So it's a little dangerous. Right.
Is there other things that are going to be replaced to improve that side, such as new diving boards, equipment for?
So that's also a difficulty. So they are resurfacing everything there. So the concrete's going to be new instead of the cracked stuff that was there before. The concrete's already been poured. The diving boards are grandfathered in as they are. So you won't find another high dive anywhere like that. So as soon as we start messing with things like that, they're gone. As we've seen with the shallow side of the pool. Yeah. Oh, well, you've been had.
Can I say one more thing? Sorry. Well, I just want to can I vote?
Yes, you gotta go. If anybody wants to just vote and go, you feel free.
I am surprised they allowed you a 2-foot pool without it being a 3.5-foot pool like the YMCA and the actual pool facilities we have in Thurston County.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm surprised is they've shut down every 2-foot pool that I can think of that we've ever swam in from my youth.
Oh.
No more in Shelton, no more in downtown, no more.
Well, we'll have a one of a
So
kind.
actually, a 2-foot pool
I don't know.
is really strange, and they shut them down because they were Petri dishes.
Oh. This does have a really nice circulating system in it, so hopefully it won't be a petri dish. Yes. Go ahead, Linda.
You
Yeah.
were worried about the view of the museum with cars parked in front of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was concerned that things are gonna go in between the quarry house and the museum that obscure the view of the quarry from the street. And now I'm asking about the umbrellas.
So most of the umbrellas are not going to be in front of the waterfall. They're going to be around the kiddie pool area. So that's off to the side more.
Right.
Yeah.
Because people do wanna come do weddings there and have pictures, and they wanna take pictures from
Mhm.
far away and blah, 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 so.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
We're going to try to keep our best views. Yeah.
When's the caboose being
I mean, no. No, I love the caboose. No, I don't think there's any plans to sell it. You know, if it could just stay there, it'd be fine. No, the guys who built the caboose would love to see it put undercover because they don't want to see it fall apart. So moving it up above and putting it somewhere between the museum or behind that area somewhere and putting a cover over it would be their dream. Right now we don't have any immediate plans to do anything because that's, I mean, I've heard rumors of that, but that's about all I got on that. Like I haven't. Yeah, we have not received anything official from the county to have that moved. Yeah, and then if it came to that, we'd figure it out. The guys had a plan. Like they'd take the rails and they'd lay them down and then they'd roll it onto that and then pick the rails up and go. They had this whole idea how it would work, and they're crazy enough. They built this caboose that they might just do it. So, yes.
I did have a question regarding the pool on the west side. I know there was issues with water being so cold during the summertime because it wasn't getting the sunlight. I commented on something, I believe it was last year when they were working on renovations. Is there any plans to at least thin the trees, not completely clear them out, but you talked about thinning the trees up in that new park area for new growth. Is there any talk about thinning the trees to allow more sunlight in the pool so it's more desirable to go to during the summer?
Probably not.
I think that the shallow pool would be one, it's only 2 feet, it's not that long.
Yeah.
But the cold pool, it's cold in the spring.
True, however, water will usually at least more often than the first 10 to 10 feet.
I every year that the quarry pool was open, I'd swim in it, and it was always warm enough. It was always warm enough on the top layer. You just go on a hot day.
The extension to Crowder, when is that going to take their?
Oh, well, that's a county question. But last time I saw them, I did ask, and he said that they were waiting for a sign that said that there's rough edges, and there's also a sinkhole in one spot that they have to fix. And I said, "Can we walk on it?" He's like, "Yeah, you guys can walk. People are already using it. It's fine." So this was the inspector I was talking to.
How did we get the property additional?
How did we get it?
We're out of time. Who donated it? How did we?
The funding to get the property was donated. So it's in escrow right now. So basically, we contacted Norseman Timber Company and had conversations with him around, are you having people call you to buy this property? Is it going to be developed? And wouldn't it be better if it was a park? And he was like, yeah, it would be great if it were a park. He seems to love Tenino. He visited here regularly. He's a guy from Seattle. And he thought that would be a really great outcome for forestry land that is that close to a city, that it would become permanently conservation land, basically. And so I had that conversation with him that he was willing to sell, and then it was about finding the money. So I reached out to the Park Foundation and just told them about this dream. And they said, hey, we have somebody you should talk to. And they put us in contact with the Angela J. Bowen Conservancy Foundation. And they liked the vision. So they agreed to donate the funds to purchase it outright, plus closing costs. I had to get a price out of the Norseman Timber Company, and he gave a generous price. Like, it's about $7,000 an acre, which you can't get land for that these days. Yeah, so it was, in that way, it's kind of a donation on Norseman's part, and it was a donation from Angela J. Bowen Foundation. Yeah, it's really exciting.
And
Yes, the land carries, yeah, the land, because it's through the foundation, there's a conservation easement on the land. We can't ever develop it, we can't log it, we can't, so it's going to be a forest. We can just use it for passive recreation. Yeah. I mean, so far, I have gone up and I go into the trails regularly and I keep an eye out for things. I've kicked people out. I've done a lot of that. I have the police on speed dial. So
But there's no somebody designated to do that.
not
It's your heart, but
it's not out of the goodness of my heart. I'm doing it as part of my job. I go
you're
up.
not a police person.
No, I'm not a police person. Mm-mm. I could go through my park ranger training. But yes, so I'm keeping an eye on it, and I am specifically go up into our current park and look for signs of people setting up camps, and I pick up litter and all of those things. So I'm going up in areas that I anticipate to continue going up there, and yeah.
Do you know when it's gonna be on the docket for the city to start having conversations about how to manage that? Because I really truly feel like there's a much bigger conversation that needs
Yeah.
to happen.
Okay.
And it's not a now thing, right? Like, whenever the city has the capacity to really come up with a forest management plan and a conservancy plan, like, there really needs to be collaboration with Creekside.
Mm-hmm.
There needs to be some good planning and conversations with that, as far as, what it's gonna look like, maybe some future partnerships, insurance. Like I talked about earlier, we've got a lot of large animals that currently use that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just know over the 30 years I've been doing Creekside stuff, it's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot, and it's really tough to educate the community on what that looks like.
Yeah.
It's just simple tasks and not turning the dogs loose, right? But
Yeah.
it's bigger conversations, so there needs to be some type of.
We recently have worked on making sure that the police are better equipped also to implement the rules of the park and actually issue tickets. So that's something that's actually happened in the last week. So we do have some officers who are pretty passionate about the park and are frustrated by the attitude of some park goers when they go in there and like, hey guys, you gotta disperse, or you're bumping your stereo too loud in the park because we have a noise ordinance in there. And they go, what are you going to do about it? Well, he can now issue a ticket for that. So there are repercussions. We have been steadily adding cameras in little batches at a time. So there's cameras at the museum. The Quarry House has cameras. The new bathrooms have cameras. The next project will be the Quarry Pool, and the rocks will have cameras. We've also purchased cameras, some game cameras. We've got a couple of those going already. So we are working on that portion of it too. And then, yes, I'm very sensitive to wildlife and that they need corridors to travel through. So that will completely be taken. Yeah.
We've got a lot of youngsters that don't really have anywhere to go, i.e. 14 to 18.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They don't really have anywhere to go. They may
Yeah.
have a car. And so there's, we've got wide open spaces
And, I'm really working hard, like when I'm in the park and I see some kids, like the other day I planted 10 cedar trees in our area where we were having root rot problems. So the only trees you'll still see standing there are some of the deciduous trees and the cedar trees. So I've interspersed some more cedars in there. Well, when I got out of my car, I had to carry all these back there by myself. And so I saw these 4 kids who routinely hang out at the park. And I was like, hey guys. And they're like, what? And I was like, hey. And I was like, can you come here? And they're like, what do you want? And I'm like, I need a hand. And they're like, oh, okay. And I was like, come see what I got over here. And they came over and they're like, ooh, trees. And I was like, yeah, you want to help me carry these to the back of the park? And they're like, yeah, okay. So they grabbed them. And they're like, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm planting trees because these trees died and we need to, fill in. And they're like, oh, wow, yeah, I love the forest. And I'm like, I love the forest too. And so, and then they offered to help me plant the trees. So, those kinds of things too is like not treating all the kids like hooligans and like kind of trying to engage them is another thing that I'm really passionate about. And just educating. I can invite those kids to Earth Day and they won't come to Earth Day, but they will help me when I ask for help in the moment. So it's just remembering that they're kids, So.
I don't know if there's a lot of high schoolers or that age that live on Pikes.
Well, you'd be surprised.
Well, I just don't think, I mean, I know a lot of teen boys, and they
Yeah.
might go fishing or go around the
I
park.
will
with the
say
boat, but they're not going to the
our
mile.
our biggest issues in the park are on the lower trail and closer to the park itself. And the upper trail, the more you get into the woods, the further you get into the woods, though, the less trouble we're having. Even the homeless seem to want to do a encampment right off the dump road or right. Yeah, yeah,
Back by the mill pond, it has historically,
yeah,
for 30 years I've been doing this, we have consistently had problems. I mean, we had a steel logging gate.
yeah. I saw
we
that.
had
Yeah,
Destroyed.
yeah,
We have folks going up to the waterfall, that's a no-play zone. That is active salmon habitat. And they're having campfires. We've got so much trash. We have homeless squatting there. We've got mattresses, refrigerators, barbecues. We have dead deer carcasses. We have whole bodies. We have parts of bodies. It is an ongoing, and this is right off Churchill Road.
right.
This is we're right there, and we've got trails being cut off from the Yelm to Tenino trail. They're literally cutting trees down on the back of their quad as they're going up and down our property. They're cutting their own trails.
Do you have any cameras?
No, we don't.
Yeah, and that was actually one of the things I was relieved about when we went up in the Norseman property is that the trails that are cut, it's one culprit. It's one person, and it's not like a bunch of people coming in from different directions. So we've got some kind of level of controlled access to the park, and then the access points to get up into the trails they're going to have to go through the park to get up there. They're going to have to go through our camera systems. So I mean, we have at least some infrastructure I think that's going to really help. Yeah.
We've got trails coming in from Blue Mire, the backs of Blue Mire, all the way through our property, adjacent properties off of Churchill. We've got multiple old logging road trails and new cut-in trails.
Yeah.
We've got people on horses.
You guys have a really big area to maintain, and it's very secluded.
And I think also part of what we'd like to see, as far as conversation between the Conservancy and the city is how we can work together to support each other
Yeah.
and stuff too. This is some of our experience managing, some of the back area and
Right.
stuff. And so what are some things to kind of head off at the pass and how can we, support that and coordinate. Yeah, so we're not separately reinventing the wheel. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the ultimate thing that we would like to do and have some conversation around so that we're working together as neighbors to
And the
try and
reality
provide
is,
the best situation.
we know just through other properties that we own, when the community gets behind it and supports the idea of it, including the students,
Mm-hmm.
right? They take stewardships of it, and they know that it's important to them, and then they therefore contact us. Or
Yes.
let us know, hey, we saw this, or we know of that, and alert us, because we can't control all the properties all the time.
Right.
And And that's been a lot of, you know, what has helped us over the years, but over the last probably decade, like just before COVID and now, right? We've got a gap between the Creekside Conservancy, the mission and what they're doing with the community, with the schools, right? So we need to repair that and get back out in front of the community so that folks know that we're there. We still have a lot of people who don't even know we're there.
Yeah, I will say that I used to work at the cemetery, and we had to deal with a lot of vandalism, and like a lawnmower was stolen out of the shed there, and just it was constant, and people parking there when they and staying there. So it was just a cemetery right off the road, and we had these issues. So one of the things that I was always pushing is like use it. You want to go for walks, it's a beautiful place to go on a walk, and if you see something, say something, and just encouraging. You know, it's kind of hard because you have to strike that balance between, yes, this is conservation land, but also having people use it passively for recreation, or eyeballs that are on the ground that it can potentially help. So, and giving them projects that they can come help you do, or us do up in the,
Well, cross country, they typically run through our property
Yeah.
every year, right? Like we used to get a heads up when it would start, but that's typically a project. We have a lot of local bird watchers,
mm-hmm.
ornithologists that come through as a major bird watching area. So, you know, lots of folks know how to use it passively, but it's just tough to reinforce that in the community when the city police are, you know, can't get quite that far. So
Yeah, that's an issue.
we don't have a good solution for that other than partnering with the city and having it be long term.
Yeah, well, it's a good conversation to continue. Yes.
When you decide, or you have decided that the seniors can have some time at the Corey House after the lunches,
Uh-huh.
will you please put a flyer in the city bill so
Yes.
people know? Because people come to me all the time, I'm gonna retire and nothing to wear, maybe
S-
go,
s-
maybe leave. I don't know what to tell them.
Yeah.
So I told them we could talk about doing some time
So
after the lunch.
yeah,
They're not gonna know
yeah.
that you don't put
Yeah, we just did a mailer, so I won't be able to get it in. I do, every 2 months, I'm doing a mailer to say all the activities that are going on, and we've been including the senior lunches on those. So this change, I'm not scheduled to get to do another mailer until, this one was April, May, so June will be the next one, and it will definitely be included. And maybe we can get them to, I'll come up with my own poster. It's just difficult. I'm trying to strike a balance between senior services policies and,
We don't have any senior services.
well, senior services is who puts on the lunches. So they had a poster.
They're there for like a half hour.
Yeah, yes, they're there they get there early, and then they give them about an hour for the seniors, yeah. So, and we're cognizant of that, and so I just needed to have because senior services rents it till 2:00, and so I was asking, why are the seniors being scooted out at 12:20? And they told me it's because the lady who's facilitating the lunch has to go put together 900 dinners for Meals on Wheels. And so she's got to go. And I asked if there is a way that we could make this work. And so it's just going to take some volunteers, maybe some seniors who want to, take some responsibility. And then I'm willing to help facilitate too. So we will be doing that. Starting the 4th Tuesday of this month, that will be open until 2:00. So lunchtime like regular, and then stay after till 2. And the seniors are in charge, though, of planning their own activities, the senior club.
Just sitting and talking.
Yeah, no, well, yeah. No, I'm not going to try and get up in anybody's business about that. I'm just going to make sure you have the space to do it. Yeah.
There's something else that, I don't know if this is the appropriate time to mention. Is there any talk about doing something about the graffiti that was painted on the wall?
So there is a plan for that at Earth Day. Oh, everybody come to Earth Day. It's it's April, is it the 20th? Okay, April 20th. So that's not this Saturday, but the Saturday after. We're having the Earth Day event. Anybody can sign up and come and volunteer. And the rocks are 10 to 1, and the rocks are one of the projects that will be worked on because I'm not happy with the graffiti.
I was gonna paint daisies. I'm gonna sneak in there and be like, happy little daisies.
So hopefully with the cameras, that'll help with some of that.
Yeah.
Because there's other things going on there besides the graffiti.
And I think it's only a couple of kids.
Yeah.
The boat is,
Yeah.
you only see
Sounds
every
like
year.
they've had it up to them doing some serious stuff, so.
It's just unfortunate.
Unfortunately.
Slow reduction.
You know, what's funny is I was looking at a picture of the museum before it was moved over here, and it was in the early 1970s. It was over on the railroad tracks over there, and it was boarded up, and it was covered in graffiti, absolutely covered. So this has always been a problem. It's always going to be a problem since spray cans were created.
Can we construct a graffiti wall somewhere in
So-
the park so that kids have a place to tag or
I-
something like that?
I do have my doubts that it will contain it. It would just maybe inspire them to bring more spray, because there is a spot that we don't concern ourselves with that much, and that is no, well, yes, there's that. That's anytime you're like, here, go ahead and use this space, it takes all the fun out of it for the ones who do it to yeah. And I heard an interview with a graffiti artist recently who said as soon as you make it legal, it's no good. But we do allow it to continue up in the pit. We just, I don't, yeah, it actually, there's some really good artists that go in there. There's some trash. When I say trash, like bad art, but there's a couple people who go in there and do really cool things. So
Where is this?
this is at the top of the hill. It's not very accessible.
But giving them a space, and I don't know where it would be, and then have them take ownership of it, saying, okay, don't do the blocks, because you're defacing public property.
And historic public property too.
But they're not doing that yet.
Yeah.
So, build a wall, cubes, something, somewhere. Make it visible, because obviously they want it to be seen. And yes, I agree, there's a place for graffiti. It is art, most of it. But if we contact the students at the high school and middle school and say, this is what we're gonna do for you, this is where it will be, but you're gonna own it and you're gonna monitor it. You can put it there, you can spray the heck out of your fingers and cans, don't put it anywhere else. But if it gets offensive, then if you don't clean it up, then we'll take it down. And make them own it, make them be proud that yes, they're allowed to do this, and we consider it, well, I do, consider it an art form on something that it goes on, not public property.
Yeah.
Or historic park, stuff like that. Give them an open canvas. I thought that's what
It's probably something that maybe should have gone on the survey, because there were a lot of people who don't want to see any more art in the park. They're like done with it. The majority were like, yeah, the exploding pineapple. But the
No, it's not.
oh, I lost my train of thought. But the majority of people actually did like the idea of more art in the park. But I was surprised how many people were like, nope, no art.
What is it gonna be and how big? If you start
Right.
putting up the historic aspect of the
My idea of art,
I'm not for it.
yeah, my idea of art was like hiring the sandstone carvers to do a carving somewhere near the quarry pool. That was my idea of art. So I wasn't thinking,
There are values in art, like what was put painted on the wall.
yes,
Or in the
yeah,
restroom, and,
yeah,
what was painted on the wall of one of our establishments where it used to say Tenino. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
good art.
yeah. So, I mean, that, I don't think anybody was thinking of doing anything too crazy. That piece was donated, and
Well, that's crazy.
yeah, I know. But, so, I mean, I don't know. It's interesting, um,
It's art.
and it's art.
Crazy.
Um,
And weird.
yeah. But I don't think we have any intention of becoming a sculpture park, I guess is what I mean to say. So, but I don't mind artistic touches. Yeah.
And send them over to the modern sculpture park.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I like it though.
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions?
I did forget to add, I don't know if Bennett may be considering a basketball court. It's on that.
Yeah, it
Oh, good.
it got a lot of votes, that idea. So it is on the graphics for the new plan.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So
Can I just make a comment? I just
Ye-
wanted to comment real quick and just say, thank you for the work on this, and, I know that it's multifaceted and, it's not a straightforward, situation, and there's a lot of complications and stuff, but I'm really pleased that that's not gonna be developed.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's the backdrop of our town, when you pull in that and the conservancy property, and it's just.
and it's not going to be logged again. We also
Yeah,
took it
and
out of
that's
forestry.
really exciting,
Yeah.
and I think that there's a lot of good potential, so, thank you
Yeah.
for doing all of that.
Okay. Thank you. All right. I'm turning this thing off.